Time now for the weekly matchup show as the Oklahoma Sooners coming off one of the most impressive performances on Showdown Saturday with their rout of Florida State. Will try to make it 3-0 against a team who's also undefeated, the Air Force Falcons. It'll be Air Force at Oklahoma Saturday afternoon at 2:30, and the game can be seen on Fox Sports Net. Oklahoma comes in as an 18-point favorite. The Air Force Falcons, of course, run the triple option attack. If you don't know what that is, basically, it's an offense where the quarterback has one of three choices. One, he can give the ball to the running back right away, or number two, he can fake the handoff and then run, or number three, he can do both and pitch the ball to another running back. It is not an easy offense to defend, even if you've got fast, athletic, strong, and experienced defensive players, which Oklahoma, of course, does. And for Oklahoma, it's a completely different offense to prepare as opposed to last week when they faced Florida State's passing attack. And by the way, next week when Oklahoma goes to Cincinnati is a predominantly throwing team. So Oklahoma's defense, you could tell they've had a lot of homework piled up on their desk in the month of September. Let's go ahead and talk about the four keys to the game, because we're going to spend a little time talking about number one, that is being able to handle Air Force's triple option. Facing the Air Force triple option attack means that you're going to be seeing more than just one formation, which OU will see on Saturday. We're going to show you three different formations because I'm sure Oklahoma will see at least these three. Last season, Air Force dominated Houston in the Armed Forces Bowl, which are where these formations are coming from that I'm about to show you. Now, as you can tell, Air Force is lined up in the I formation, but it's not just any I, it's what you call the triple I because of the three men in the backfield. Now, these guys for Houston, the linebackers have a responsibility because they have to, first of all, respect the fullback dive. They have to respect this guy. So as the play begins, I want you to watch what Tim Jefferson, the quarterback of the Falcons, does. Now, initially, you might think this guy has the ball. You can tell that the linebackers right there have to respect that. But instead, it's a fake to the fullback, and this is when Air Force's option really takes into flight. As we freeze it right there, you'll see already Air Force has a running back as a lead blocker for this guy right here. His name is Asher Clark, and he had over 100 yards last week against BYU. There's another teammate for the Falcons who has the safety sealed off. And even though this guy is going to slip, even if he had been able to keep his feet, it still would have been difficult for him to make the play because of the lead block. This is clear sailing. This guy completely out of the picture for the Cougars, and it's clear sailing for a Falcon touchdown. Oklahoma must be able to stay disciplined, especially on the outsides. If they can do that, they'll be fine. Otherwise, Air Force is capable of breaking plays off like that. Here's another formation that OU will probably see on Saturday, especially in third and short situations. The Falcons last week against BYU converted most of their third downs. I think they had close to 20 third down attempts, and I believe they completed about 11 of them. You could see a shotgun formation. Trips receivers, two on the right side, one on the left who's not pictured on the screen, and then the shotgun formation, of course, with two men in the backfield. Now, again, you might think it's going to be a passing play, but as the play starts, I want you to watch what the quarterback will do. Maybe you think he's going to go option, but it looks like these guys for Houston have the play defended. Maybe he'll pass, but number 42 for the Falcons is in position for a shovel pass completion. Remember, the Falcons only need 5 yards. Doesn't gain much, but does gain enough to keep the drive going. So even though Air Force will run shotgun, you have to also remember that that doesn't mean that they won't run the ball. Of course, the Falcons will run more than just three formations using this triple option attack, but this will be the third and final formation I'll show you. It's a common formation because it will allow Air Force to use this guy who you've already seen, that's Asher Clark, to go into motion. Now, as the play starts, you'll see him go into motion. I'll freeze it right there because the center, the guard, and the tackle on the right side for the Falcons are going to penetrate to the inside. They're not going to worry about this defensive end for Houston. They're going to allow him to come through. That's what they want. They want him to come right after the running back, and for good reason. Now, as we start the play and then stop it again, bam. You could tell he's out of the equation. The middle of the field is taken care of. That means that all the pressure is on the Cougar defensive backs, the safety and the corner. One has to be responsible for the quarterback, that's Jefferson, while the other one has to be responsible for Clark. But Houston makes a mistake as both the corner and the safety commit to the quarterback. And nobody, and I mean nobody, is responsible for this guy. Obviously a big mistake for Houston, and Air Force makes them pay for it with an easy score. For the new guys for Oklahoma, the corners, as well as for linebacker Tom Wart, they are going to be under a lot of pressure to contain Air Force's option attack. Key number 2 for Oklahoma, that is make it 7th heaven against the Air Force front 7. This is not a strong front 7 for the Air Force Academy. In fact, they're a little bit undersized. Oklahoma should have a tremendous advantage in the running department. That means DeMarco Murray doing what he basically did last week, giving him touches, especially in the first half, and also using him as a receiver. Air Force has pretty good defensive backs, but the front 7 is unproven, they're inexperienced, and like I said, they're just not as athletic, not as fast, not as big as Oklahoma. So the Sooners should be able to score a lot of points, just have to stay away from those penalties and turnovers. Don't beat yourself, in other words. Key number 3, continue to improve on special teams. Last week, O'Hara, the kicker for the Sooners, went 2 of 3, but did miss an extra point, and his miss was a makeable field goal. So you still don't feel very confident about the Sooner kicking game. I don't think it's going to come down to a field goal in this game, but you get the feeling sooner or later it's going to. Maybe against Texas, and if Oklahoma continues their struggles on the road, because remember, Cincinnati is a road game, then you're going to have to rely on O'Hara's legs. So you have one more week to get any bugs that might be in the kicking game out of the way, because I think at some point your place kicking is going to be a factor, even though it hasn't really been a factor so far, but you know down the road it will. Use this game as an opportunity to continue to improve the place kicking. By the way, very proud of Oklahoma last week on their punt and kick coverage. It was outstanding. And number 4, no let up. Of course, we didn't know what Oklahoma was going to look like against Florida State just a few days ago. Of course, it was an outstanding game for the Sooners. So naturally, the press clippings, all the media talk about Oklahoma being back. You know, the Fiesta Bowl had Oklahoma as its National Team of the Week just a few days ago. And Landry Jones was named Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week, 30 of 40 passing, 380 yards in the air, and 4 touchdowns. Complacency is the last thing you ever need, especially when you just came off a big victory. One time, as Dom Capers, the former head coach of the Carolina Panthers, once told his team, it's tougher to handle success than it is adversity. So Oklahoma, don't lose the fire. Air Force can make it a long game for you if you're not ready to play, and because Air Force is a predominantly running team, you can bet that the Falcons are going to try to take as much time off that clock as possible. Last week against Brigham Young, they had the ball over 37 minutes. That meant, obviously, that Brigham Young had the ball for under 23 minutes. So, no let up for Oklahoma. Final thoughts. Air Force, I believe, is going to have some big plays. Oklahoma, I think, can afford to bend the defense. They just can't afford to break. Offensively, barring a penalty frenzy game and barring mega turnovers, Oklahoma should score a lot of points. I look for Oklahoma to win the game 42-20 over the Air Force Falcons and enter the Cincinnati game a week from Saturday with a 3-0 record. By the way, good news for Oklahoma in both major polls. They move up 1 spot in the coaches poll to number 9, and they move up 3 spots to number 7 in the AP poll. So no question, the pollsters gave Oklahoma some respect after that victory over the Seminoles. Once again, final score 42-20. I have Oklahoma winning and covering that 18-point spread. We'll have the post-game show sometime Saturday evening. It'll probably be late, but we will have it, the post-game show between Oklahoma and Air Force, the next time we talk about Sooner football. Take it easy, and Boomer Sooner.